Welcome to my cheer journey. Okay, this video was actually supposed to be the gala video, the year-end gala. Instead of the gala, this is because I ended up deciding to get the flu that day. It was terrible and it sucked. I want to do like my cheer journey so far. I feel like a lot of us don't take enough time to be grateful for like the sports we have, and I feel like it's been such a fast 5 years that I haven't had time to sit back and look and be like, wow, like I'm so happy for all this. So I kind of want this to be like let's take a minute and like be grateful for what we've had up. Started back in 2018 was when it started. All the way September of 2018, I was on Dynamite. It was a senior level 1 team. And I used to watch SMOED, like cheerleaders on Awesomeness TV, and they were the reason like I knew about cheer. They're the reason I loved cheer. That's where it started. There was 12 of us on Dynamite. It was so amazing to get to experience that. Just getting put on a team, like it was amazing. I wasn't even there from like day one. I didn't go placements or anything. They just said, hey, you can come try out and practice with this team. And the coaches said they loved me, and then they wanted me to stay, and I loved it, and I wanted to stay, and the rest is history. So one of the first big things on being on Dynamite was getting to do our the showcase. We haven't done one since then. We did one that year, and it was like all the teams, went and showed off to all each other, and it was such a fun experience. It's just so much different than dance, and I didn't know what to expect. So that was the first thing I ever got to do. So much fun. Okay, next, my first competition. That was so exciting. Like, it was just like, you don't know how different it is from dance. Like, in dance, like, it's so quiet. You're quiet backstage. No one's talking. Everything's silent. And then, like, a bell will ding. And then you know it's your turn to start. And you, like, start panicking. Whereas on cheer, like, you run onto the floor screaming and yell. Everyone's hyped. And it's just such a, like, for all of my first season, I didn't do any like mat talk or anything because it was just so weird. It was such a fun experience. My coaches, I got off the floor and my coaches were like, Asia, like you did so good. And it felt like I was like so proud of myself. And one thing I'm super proud of is in our pyramid we did like quarter up to arabesque and then like hitch, and we hadn't hit it in practice, we didn't hit it in warm-ups, we had never hit it before, and we went out on the floor and hit, and it was like the best feeling ever. I was like, oh my gosh, we just did that. So that first competition, and we got second, and only out of 2 other teams, so like we were like middle of the line, but I was okay with that because to me like this was a big deal. Like in dance, often like yes, there are some competitions where you getting ranked like first, second, third, but often now it's like it was gold, silver, bronze, well, and for Ukrainian dance it's still gold, silver, bronze, but now for other ones it's like platinum, supernova, spickety span sparkle award, So for me, going from not being ranked like in that way to like first, second, third, weird. But I loved it. The next big moment would be our first travel comp, which was True North. We went on a bus, we traveled, we did all that fun stuff together. And I turned 15 while we were there. And it was this great experience, like I had never really felt this same thing, with dance, we'd never really got to travel. And if we did, we'd always go by ourselves. So it was never this. It never felt like, and I got to turn 15 with like all these people that I love, and I competed on my 15th birthday, and it was like so much fun. That was also the same competition that I almost brought the whole pyramid down. My basing partner, nothing against her, literally love her, she's amazing. She stepped on my foot by accident, and so I started tripping backwards like while holding the foot, and I was like, oh my god, we're gonna take the pyramid down, but I saved it last set. It was a day. It was Ace, which is the one we were just at like less than a month ago. It's basically a fever dream to me, and I remember it like it's such a big point in my cheer career just because I don't know how I survived it. I had Ukrainian dance competition, my regular dance competition, and my cheer competition all over the same like 2 days. So like I did my Ukrainian dance competition for like Thursday, Friday, Saturday or something. I don't remember. And then I woke up the one morning I did like my solo or whatever. And then I got home, got whatever, traveled to a different city to do like my hip hop and stuff. And then we went to bed, woke up at like 4 a.m, got up, drove all the way to Edmonton so I could compete for cheer. And like, it was such like a weird experience. Like that whole weekend, it was just like a blur. Like it was so wild, but like, hey, I survived, and I'm one of the things is I'm so proud that I did survive that. Like, I don't know how I'm, like, and, like, all of those three things are so different. Like, Ukrainian dance to regular dance, very different. And then from dance to cheer, it's so different. Like, yes, they're all performing, but, like, the three, like, oh my God. Notably, in my first season, I was a base, even though I was the tallest on the team, but who cares? And, like, most notably, my first year was I got an award. So our gym gives out fire awards. So there's Fighting Heart, Improvement, Rockstar, and Excellence. I got the Rockstar award, and for being my first year, I was like, oh my, like, I felt, I can't even explain it. Like, it just welcomed me, and then to get an award my first year, I was like, oh my gosh, this is one of, like, the happiest, like, I was so happy, and it was such a fun banquet, and I don't know. Okay, moving on. My second year of cheer, I was put on level 2. Well, I was 2.0, but I didn't really tumble. I did tumble on level 1, which is absolutely, like, wild. I've never had to tumble since, unless it's, like, a dive roll, but I was put on 2.0, but I don't tumble in the first place, so it didn't, it's whatever. Blah. But that was, like, so crazy to me because so many people on my level 1 team were saying, like, I've been on level 1 for 5 years. Or so many people have been like, I worked so hard to get to level 2. And I just was like, I feel so, like, grateful that I have 1 year of cheer experience and now I'm already on level 2. Like, yeah, I was in grade 10, but, like, I felt so, like, it was just such an amazing, like, I felt so happy to get to be on level 2 already, only my second year. I was so, I'm gonna burp. I was just so proud of, like, I was just so happy that our season was then cut short in March due to COVID, which sucked, but hey, that's the way the cookie crumbles. So that year, there was then no tryouts, so I sent in a video tryout, and I was then asked over the summer to train with our level 6 team, Bombshells. Well, 6.0, but I still don't tumble, so anyways. I was then asked to train 6.0 over the summer, which, going from level 1, 2.0, then getting to train level 6 tons was like a dream come true. I was then put on Wildfire, which is one of our gyms, like, it was like one of the elite teams, I don't know why I did, it is. I don't know why I did finger quotes. Anyways, I'm with these people who have been doing this for, 5, 6, 7, 8 years, and it was, like, crazy to me, because I was like, oh my gosh, like, I am training with some of, like, these people who are even younger than me who've been doing this for years, and I barely know anything. Like, my first season, I started a bit late, and my second season was cut off. Like, I didn't know much. I would just like to add in for level 2, for my second year, the 2019-2020 season, is when I started coaching. I was still volunteer coaching because, like, my first year was cut short, so I had to I was still volunteer coaching. And I volunteered coaching with Flair, which was wild because they were also level 3. Like, these Flair kids had more experience than I did. And I was coaching them. It was, like, crazy. It was such a weird experience. But so I'm helping out with Flair, and then I'm on Wildfire, and I get to do some of, like, Wildfire. We are such, like, a strong team that year, and I'm sad we never got to compete. Things eventually got worse that year, and we didn't get to compete. Near the end of the season, we weren't able to stunt anymore, but that season was such a great experience because it was my first time ever being on a team where, like, not that my other teams didn't work hard, but, like, this one, it was like, we are training hard. So that was super exciting. Next year, my 4th year, which was just last season, I'm an official coach. So my 2021-2022 season, I become an official coach, which is crazy. I was put on Wildfire again, which was crazy just because, like, it's only I'm on Wildfire again. Like, it was exciting, being on Wildfire with, like, all of those kids from Flair. Like, most of them all were on Wildfire now. So going from coaching them to now being their friends, it was crazy. Wildfire that year, it was, like, the one thing, it made me realize, like, how much, like, I wanted to be a part of it. It made me realize, like, this is, like, I'm not going to say, oh, it's my entire life, because no, cheer shouldn't be your entire life. You should have other things outside of it, but, like, it became something so important to me. Crossfire, that first competition where they weren't against anyone, they also had the highest score, but they hit 0. So for being, like, my first year actually coaching, going to a comp, and having my kids hit 0 at their first ever comp, I was like, this is the dream job. I think this is the best. This is the best. I think it's like either second or tied for first. One of my favorite moments was our first, like, real competition of that season. It was Best of the West. At that competition, Wildfire, we went out, we performed, we hit, we were so happy. Like, it was such a good feeling that we didn't know even though we didn't know technically what we'd place, it was such just like, we were so proud of ourselves. And awards were not on the floor. We didn't go and sit on the floor for awards, but when we were listening to awards and I heard our name be announced, I was shaking. I was like, oh my gosh, we just won. And that to me, it was like my first ever like actual win. And then later on, I hear them announce our name again, and I was like, what was that? And then I checked the group chat, and everyone's like, we just got grand champs. And it was such a good feeling. Like, that was like, I can't be more grateful for how I felt like in that moment. It was truly the best. Like, my first ever time like actually winning, and then also getting under 17 grand champs. Like, so meaning we got the highest score out of all the under 17 teams. It was just like the best feeling ever. Like, I don't even, it was amazing. And and then later on that day, I was with Crossfire, and they go out and, they compete. And I was like, wow, that was great. But I didn't, it's just different as a coach, and I didn't know what to expect really, because it's only my second competition really as a coach. And then I had to leave town because I had other family doing stuff. But Melissa stays, and she texts me, and she's like, Crossfire, just won. And I was like, oh my gosh, that's amazing. I was like so happy, as like a first time real coach, and then having your kids win. I was like, oh my gosh, they win and they hit 0. And then she texts me under 12 grand champs. Like, Crossfire just got under 12 grand champs. And I was just like over the moon. Like, it was an amazing feeling getting those texts from Melissa saying, our kids just won. And then our kids just got grand champs. Meaning they beat all of the other under 12 teams. And it was crazy. It was like such a crazy experience, that competition, to not only have Wildfire, but also Crossfire have hit 0 grand champs and first place. It was this surreal feeling that I don't even, like, I can't even explain how good it felt in that moment. And then Crossfire goes. And day 1, they had a bit of a bobble and I think a tumble touchdown. But day 2, they rock it. Or maybe the bobble was, it doesn't really matter. And then Crossfire, I didn't get to go to awards with them because I was with Wildfire day 2. But Melissa goes, and then they get first. And then they get a judge's choice banner for like wow routine or something.
Because like we got a 107.
Like anytime, and then the list comes back with the banners, and it's just like, although I was about to go compete with Wildfire, but I was just like, you know what, no matter what like happens, like I'm still so proud of how Crossfire did. And then Wildfire went out and got second, and I'm still so proud. So next, after Warman was provincials, Wildfire at this competition, we go out. We had changed our stunt the practice before, which was absolutely wild. Like they used to round off in to like a load and then ball prone, but we changed it so they round off and then we like tossed to prep. So it was like completely different, and especially like I know my group was struggling with it, and so then we got out on the floor and all of them hit, and it was just like such a good feeling to know ours hit, like and then we finished the routine. And one thing to mention is that with Wildfire, we have been missing someone for every competition. So last minute, there was constant last minute changes. So the fact that with our last minute changes, we went out there, hit the routine, it was like such a good feeling. And when running off that stage, we were proud of ourselves. And then to go on for awards when we're sitting there and to hear that we won, it was such a good feeling. And then to get level 3, like grand champs, like it was just like, it was such a happy moment. Our last big competition, which was Vancouver. Vancouver was like an experience I'll never forget. I am just so grateful. I got, like, for so many of the kids on Wildfire, it was their first time on a plane. You know, it was their first time for so much, and it was like crazy. And in Vancouver, I was like basically not like another coach because I wasn't making rules and stuff, but like I was, you know, often put in charge of the younger ones because I was 18 and our youngest is 10, which was crazy. But like, you know, you form like sibling relationships. So they'd do something, be like, Haley, go stand with Asia. And so I'd make sure the younger ones, like Sloan and them, weren't getting lost. Or when we'd get on a bus, I'd get on last. We got to train at Absolute Gym, I think it's called. We got to train in their gym. And it was just getting to, it was so much fun just getting to, you know, experience that. And like all the times almost like running places, you know, the time that we realized Melissa and Tara are running, and it's because we almost missed like our boat, our ferry. And it was just like, it was such a fun, because it's, you know, I never got to do that stuff with dance. So getting to have that, it was like, it was a crazy experience. And then competing day one, like knowing we had flown all the way there and we went out, and it was just such a good feeling. And like all of my stunts hit. It was just such, like, it was so much fun. And like Haley's stunt that we practiced like a couple times in that bush and then on warm-up mats, obviously, for having it go up and then hit, it was such like this amazing feeling. Our coaches did such a good job of doing like team bonding and stuff. So we got to, you know, we played like a game that night and did a bunch of stuff, and it was like, it was so much fun to just be together as a team. And then day 2 comes around and we have another flyer. She you know, she's unable to compete, which sucks, but that's how the cookie crumbles, you know, that's life. And so we just didn't compete those skills, and you know, who knows if, you know, what would have happened if we did, you know, but we didn't, and that's life. And I still went out there, gave it my all. You know, we hit. I remember when Melissa came back with like our hit 0 pins and we found out we hit, it was like the best. Like we were all crying like when we got off that floor because the season was over, you know.
I don't want to be Move in. Free, come in. I know. Yay! Hold up a 0!
But I remember just, I don't know, that's probably in my top 3 cheer moments ever. We sang Umbrella together, and those are some great videos.
Shine, we shine together. Told you I'll be here forever. Said I'll always be your friend. Took an oath, I'ma stick it out till the end. Now that it's raining more than ever, know that we'll still have each other. You can stand under my umbrella.
Now we're on to the next season, which is the one that we just had. Exciting, I know. It was the 2022-2023 season. This past season, I got to coach Crossfire again, which was super exciting. It was basically a whole new group of kids, except for like maybe 5. And then I was put on Hot Shots, which was something completely different, because going from being, you know, like season prior, I was 18 with a 10-year-old on my team. You know, we started the season, she was 9, I was 17, going to now being on a team with someone in their 30s who already has a kid on an under 12 team. You know, like it was just such a switch. And it was just like a different experience. Warmanshire Classic is the first time Kaylee, Janae, and I debuted our handshake, which it was the first time I had ever actually had like a cheer handshake before I like competed, because I'd never done that before. Being the oldest, like often, well, I wasn't the oldest on my first team, but ever since then I've been the oldest, and people just always like, you know, connected better with like other people, and that's fine, you know. So I never really had that with anyone, but this was the first time I ever had that, and it was just like, it felt special. Like I get why people do it now. At Ace, I think is like tied for my like favorite, either tied or just above my best of the West memory that I was saying how much I love. Crossfire, all we wanted for their last competition was for them to place top 3, which was going to be hard because they had done it at their first comp and no time since then, and they had been so close to provincials, and all we wanted was for top 3. And they went out there, they did their run, and it was amazing. Like sitting on the floor watching them do their run and like hit things on the correct counts, and like it was just such a good feeling watching that routine. Like I was so happy like watching them, and if you watch videos and stuff, you can see me like this half the time just because I'm like holding my breath, like the stunt's gonna hit, and then everything hit, and we go to score check, and they hit 0, and it was such a good feeling, and because we had added more difficulty, had to change people around, and we were like, you know what, no matter how they place, I'm so proud, and then we go to awards, and they're the first division for awards, so I'm not even ready. I'm recording on my phone because I had no time to get the camera on. I just start recording, and I think I even missed when they announced 4th place because I was so like not ready, and they announced 4th, and it wasn't them, and Riley and I were like, oh, they made top 3. Like, we were just so proud that they made top 3. We were like, good job, doesn't even matter. And the kids keep looking at us. They're like, this is us? You sure this is us? Because they were also in disbelief that they, and they announced 3rd place and it wasn't them. And they keep looking at us like, are you sure? Riley, Bodie, and I, we all look at each other and we're like, they just got 2nd place. It was the best feeling, because they deserved it. And we were just like, they just got 2nd place. Like, oh my gosh, we're so proud. And then they announced 2nd place and it wasn't them. It was the craziest experience. Riley, Bodie, and I were looking at each other like, I've got my hand over my mouth. I'm like, the kids keep looking at us like, oh my gosh. And my dog's barking. Then we hear them announce 2nd place. And then I can't even explain to you. My hands were shaking. I tried taking a video and it looked like I was faking because like the camera was shaking. And like I was like, I think that is probably my favorite moment in cheer.
All right. In 3rd place, we have Royalty Elite Athletics Divine.
Yeah.
In 2nd place, from Alberta Cheerleading, Alberta Cheer Empire, make some noise for Electric. And in 1st place, Prairie Fire Cheerleading.
This video is here to be like, I'm just so grateful. It's such a go that I haven't had time to like really like take a minute and like soak in how much it means to me, and the fact that I'm going into my 6th season already. Like, it felt like just yesterday I was walking to that gym like all nervous because the season had already started and everyone knew each other, and I was like, oh no, like I'm the new kid and I don't know anything, to now like I'm going to my 3rd year of actually coaching. Like, I coach like tumbling classes, I coach private, like wow. 2nd year we didn't have a gala in our 2019-2020 season, but they did post the awards online, and I got the Rockstar Award again, and 2 years in a row. I was like, oh my gosh, I won it along with my friend Salika. She also deserved it. She's an amazing performer, and it was like crazy because I was like, this is only my 2nd year and I just got an award. Awards, we once again couldn't have a gala, but they still did awards, but they didn't do the Fire Awards. So 4 awards like that were specialized for the year. They would just give the Shine Award, which was basically just like an overall award for the athlete, and they'd only give it to like 2 people on a team. And I got it, and I was like, this is crazy. Like, my 3rd year, I'm already getting like this like overall award next to these amazing athletes. It was like such a great moment. The end of the 2021-2022 season with Wildfire and Code Red, I went, and then if you graduate high school while doing cheer, you get a sweater. So I got the sweater for that. Great. It was great feeling. But then they announced Team of the Year, and it was Crossfire. And it was such, like, that was such an amazing feeling. Like, to know that, I worked so hard. I managed to be a senior in high school, be on Wildfire, which was such a competitive team, and coach the Team of the Year with an amazing coach. I coached it with Melissa, and it was such a privilege to do those things, and I am so grateful I got to do that. I guess now we just see what the future of cheerleading has in store for me. Get excited. I'm excited. Everyone get excited. I don't know. I'm so hyped. Like, Grateful for, you know, the moments we've had, because there's often so many setbacks and frustrating practices where you leave crying or you get hurt or something. You're just like, this sucks and I want to quit. Or, and you just, it sucks and you're mad. But then you take a minute and look back at everything and you're like, wow, I couldn't be happier in doing this. Slay the day. Best days.